Welcome back. Well, the craft gin industry is booming around the world, and South Africa, although a bit late to the party, is no different. Local brands are catching the attention of the international market, particularly the small batch handcrafted ones. So I spent some time with one of them, barely 3 years old, and that's become the first gin to hold 3 concurrent double gold medals from the prestigious Michelangelo International Wine and Spirits Awards. There's nothing quite like the change in the air when you drive sort of an hour to 90 minutes outside of the Johannesburg CBD. You can hear it, I can feel it, just the birds chirping, the water flowing in the background, and that's where we are now, in the cradle of humankind. One of the world's most important fossil sites, but also home to something I think you might find rather interesting. How are you, Glenn?
Hi, Michelle. Nice to see you. Welcome to the cradle.
Thank you so much. Glyn French is the brains and heart behind Flowstone Gin, flavoured with botanicals, foraged right on her doorstep. I think it's fitting you tell us Flowstone's origin story.
Okay, well, as you say, cradle of humankind. It's virgin African bush. It's got some of the most beautiful botanicals that have been used for millennia by various people that have lived here over these centuries, over the thousands of years. And so that was the inspiration. Once we decided we were going to make gin, I have a really, really good friend who's an exceptional botanist, and she knows all the plants that are in the area, what was used medicinally, what was edible, what wasn't. And together with her, we went and experimented, gathered some of them, made distillations of them. And so really, it's the area around us that was the inspiration.
So if I look at the wild cucumber, Flowstone's wild cucumber, so this is part of the story of when you had this group of people staying in your house, and, you know, the usual way you would garnish a G&T is with some cucumber.
What?
And you were out.
We had no cucumber. And we needed, as you say, cucumber to garnish a cucumber gin that somebody bought me as a thank you present. And the nearest shops are 20 k's away, so that wasn't an option. You waste, serious drinking time. So in the garden at that time, it just so happened I had wild cucumbers growing. They were ripe. This is the wild cucumber that you see over there, this lovely big spiky fruit. And I'd experimented with eating it. It's a little bit sort of, you wouldn't go out of your way to eat it, but it's fresh, it's lovely. And I said, we've got some of this. And we went and got some, cut a slice of it, put it in the drink. Beautiful orange skin, spiky orange skin, green turquoisey inside, put it in the drink. Absolutely amazing. And somebody sometimes said, somebody should make a gin out of this.
Yeah.
And that's where it all started.
I mean, it's almost like, just looking at the trees around you, and so many of your gin flavours come from right here. It's like the area was sort of begging you to make gin.
Absolutely. Well, I think the whole of Africa is. In the Cape, they started with fynbos. This is absolutely, it's a palette of flavours waiting to be explored. I've got about 10, 15 other gins that I could do with what's happening around us here.
And to add to that, the wild cucumber, the bush willow, the snuff box, these are all flavours that are unique to Flowstone Gin.
Absolutely unique to Flowstone Gin. Snuff box is our new one, a totally unique flavour. Beautiful, it's caramel, it's a bit of coffee, it's a bit of chocolate. It's indescribable.
And this is the snuff box over there.
That's the snuff box over there. Beautiful little fruit. Can you smell it?
Lovely smell.
Isn't it stunning? Yeah. Bits of vanilla, bits of caramel. And the box itself, the seed itself, is really hard. You can feel how hard it is. And so traditionally, a little hole was made in the top. The pulpy flesh was eaten. You'd dig it out, eat the pulpy flesh, left you with a very hard, strong container, and that's where people carried their snuff, carried it around with them, so hence the name Snuff Box Tree.
So for a woman to get into the industry, craft gin as an industry is just exploding around the world. If we focus on South Africa, that sort of momentum has been growing over the past few years. How do you get to the stage where Flowstone is just 2.5 years since the launch now, but that's already award-winning?
Absolutely. Look, it's a lot of hard work. I think anybody who is making any sort of progress in the craft gin market, they're working hard. They're working really, really hard. What is interesting is there's a high proportion of women distillers who are doing very well, a lot of them winning awards as well. And I don't know why that is. I think it might be the alchemy thing, you know, because it really is sort of, you know, a bit of this, bit of that, reflecting on it, tasting it, you know, thinking about it. It's the flavour profiles that you're playing with, which I think is, you know, plays to women's tastes as well, or you know, their sensitivity maybe. But when I saying that, there are also some amazing men gin distillers. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Yeah, sure. I think South Africa's making really, really beautiful gins.
And competing on the world market as well.
Competing on the world market, really, really difficult to get into the international market, as you can imagine. But yes, we're busy working on some export inquiries right now. And, you know, it looks like at least some of those are going to come off. So that is really rewarding after all the hard work. But, yeah, South Africa's our market. South Africa's, you know, where we want our gins to flourish.
Yeah. Shall we taste?
Would you like to?
I'd love to.
Okay. The first one we're going to taste is the bush willow.
Okay.
And this is the bush willow seed pod. And actually it's the first flavour that we experimented with. So inside there is a seed, and it's that seed that we've used, which has been used by communities living in this area for literally millennia. Medicinal purposes, because it's got a very, very strong taste, but it's got a very interesting taste. So would you like to?
I'd love to.
And why don't you tell me what you're tasting rather than me?
It's definitely a unique flavour. You get the juniper berry, obviously. You get the gin flavour. But then a sort of citrusy note also.
Yes, there's citrus in it.
It's lovely.
Lovely. And then what you should be getting, especially by the time you get to a second sip, you should start getting a lovely warmth on the side of your mouth, which is from the bush willow. And what is interesting is we use really a tiny little amount, and that's enough to give us this totally distinctive flavour.
And the thing about it is that it's not a flavour so that it overwhelms your palate. So all you taste is not the gin, but just this one singular flavour. Very subtle.
Well, yeah, it's lovely to hear you say that, because what we've aimed for is we've aimed for very soft, subtle, sophisticated flavours. So we don't want a flavour that's going to sort of hit you between the eyes. Because then by the time you get halfway through, three-quarters of the way through your drink, you're going to go, oh, I don't know if I want to finish this, right? So we've designed gins that you can actually carry on drinking and drinking. So when you've finished your first gin, we really want you to feel, I need more of that, right? And that's the philosophy behind our flavours.
All right, let's move on to the snuff box, which is a limited release.
That's right.
And that's, of course, dependent on how much of the actual snuff box you have.
This is a tree that's growing down by the distillery, and I hadn't even thought to, because it was a young tree, so it wasn't producing much fruit. But a year ago, we found these fruits lying on the ground, picked one up, smelt it, and thought, oh my golly gosh, that's absolutely... Have a smell and see what you get.
I've smelt this before. It's lovely.
Isn't it lovely?
You know what hits me is the strong vanilla note hits me first.
Absolutely. Vanilla, caramel, and then there's a bit of coffee, then there's a bit of chocolate. And it's very difficult to pin it down. So made a test distillation with that, because there were only a couple of them lying on the ground, and they were finished for the season. So that was a year ago, and we had to wait for this last season for them to produce enough for us to do anything with. And with that first little test distillation, we knew we were onto something absolutely amazing, unique, lovely, lovely flavours. Have a taste and see what you think.
And it's so weird that you get that sort of really delicate scent as soon as you lift the glass to your nose.
I think that's the amazing thing about making gin is just minor changes in your flavours or additions or whatever, change your taste profile totally.
That's delicious.
Is it lovely? Do you like it?
It really
Good.
is. It's not like anything I've ever tasted before.
What is lovely about that one is, coming back to the bush willow, we've probably won more golds and double golds on the bush willow. Snuff box we entered just before we released it, and won double gold.
Amazing. Which
was really lovely. We knew when they invited us to the awards, we knew we had won a double gold, and I knew it was going to be Snuff Box, talking about the Michelangelo awards that have just happened. But in fact, we won 3 double golds.
Incredible.
I mean,
your bush willow bottle is just, it's got medals all around it.
Like Christmas trees.
So this is the gin that started
Absolutely.
the Flowstone journey.
Absolutely, and it's probably our biggest seller out of our range.
Oh, really?
Initially, all three were on par, but slowly cucumber has sort of carved a niche for itself.
I suppose because cucumber is the natural thing that you think about when you're thinking of G&T?
Well, yeah, you know, it's a taste that people are familiar with, so they're comfortable with it, and it's very easy drinking. But all the gins are easy drinking.
It's 9 o'clock somewhere.
It is.
Well, it's 9 o'clock here, 9 o'clock in the morning here, but 12 o'clock somewhere.
It's actually past 9 o'clock here, so you can have... No, it isn't.
Yeah, yeah, that's the familiar one.
That freshness, that green. And I think because we're using a wild fruit, a wild cucumber, we're getting more pronounced greens. We're getting quite a lot of complexity in the gin.
Quite a lot of citrus also.
There is citrus in this one too, yeah. What is interesting with our citrus is we only use the peel of the citrus.
Okay.
So we go to a lot of trouble to process our citrus locally here. We've got a sort of little community of people that contribute to processing and things like that. So we've got no pith flavour in there, which gives you that bitterness.
Bitter, yeah.
So we've avoided that totally.
So it's definitely familiar because of the cucumber, but it's different. There's something that sets it apart from just a cucumber gin.
I think what that is what you're getting is the layers. You're getting tastes on the front of your palate, you're getting different tastes on the side of your palate, and then you're getting the cucumber finish right at the end, at the back. So there's a lot to play with in your mouth with that.
Delicious.
No matter what the time is.
So in terms of, you know, tonics to pair with your gins, there are a lot of tonics on the market. I've seen blueberry and cardamom tonics, just all different kinds of flavors. In terms of what pairs the best with your gin, what's your advice on that?
Personally, I like to drink my gins pretty plain. I like the plain fetch and leads for our bush willow and for our wild cucumber. I think they work beautifully. There's a tonic called Cinchona tonic, which is just a mixture made in heaven for our snuff box gin.
Okay.
Yeah. Both of them have got subtle flavours. You know, we want something that's going to marry with the gin and not overtake it. The other advantage of the craft tonics is they're not overcarbonated. So you'll find with a, what can we call it, a commercial, you know, mainstream tonic, you take a sip of it and your mouth is filled with bubbles. And you're not really tasting the gin because you're fighting all the bubbles in your mouth.
Absolutely.
Whereas with the craft gin, they're less carbonated, they've got less sugar, which I think all of us are interested in these days. And they've got delicate flavours, so you can actually taste the gin through the tonic, which is what we're looking for.
And the other thing is that you don't want a fruit salad in your gin. You want to add...
Please.
You want to add garnishes that bring out the flavours of the G&T.
Absolutely.
So simple, keep it simple.
Well, I'm such a purist at home that I hardly ever garnish my gin and tonics at home. I really like it just plain, obviously, lovely big chunks of ice, and that's lovely. The one thing that I think doesn't go well with most of the craft gins, certainly with the delicate craft gin, is lemon. Lemon just kills it, right? But all the other things, I mean, it's fun playing with garnishes, and when we're at events and things like that, I love it. And, you know, they do bring out, they make a gin more interesting, but to put everything in, as you say, a fruit salad, not the way to go.
And especially with a gin like yours, with botanicals that are, you know, sourced in a place like the Cradle, you want those flavours, those botanical flavours
to come out. So the garnishes that we do use, we've researched very, very carefully to make sure that the gin can still be the hero, and when you're garnishing at home, aim for that. You're looking for something that's actually going to complement the gin, right, and bring out the flavours.
With over 250 craft gins on the market, Flowstone manages to set itself apart, not only with the story behind the brand, but with its unique flavours as well. Clearly, so much love and care goes into every bottle of this small batch, handcrafted, proudly South African gin. And it's paying off, with Flowstone becoming the first gin to hold 3 concurrent double gold medals in the prestigious Michelangelo International Wine and Spirits Awards.